But there are multiple players on the roster, as you would imagine, that have expiring contracts. And based on this year, could they get a new deal here or elsewhere? Let's run through a couple names. And who of these players do you think is likely to get a new deal from Kansas City, or you would like to get a new deal from Kansas City after this year? As in, basically, who's got a lot to play for in 2026? The obvious name at the top is Jalen Moore. I do think there is still a level of play that could result in him getting a long-term deal. I know there are a lot of fans that are kind of just out and they're like, just get through this year and move on. But I'll remind you, this goes back to like, oh, we haven't seen the other guys suck yet, which is, I think a lot of fans are like, hey, Jalen Moore, get through this year, and then Benson will be our starting right tackle next year.
Yeah.
Ideally, I think, but are we going to see enough from Benson? So I'll still list Jalen Moore. If he's healthy all year and gives them average play, I still think there is a scenario, Cody, where he could get a new deal with Kansas City because they don't want to have to spend draft assets again. Because if he walks, even with Benson, you still might be forced to go and spend money on another tackle again or another draft pick. So Jalen Moore, I actually think I put at a chance that he's back in Kansas City next year, 25, 35%.
I think it's probably in that range. Like, I was looking through the expiring contract list. Moore, Tranquil, Shamari Connor, FAU, Rashee Rice, and Chris Roland Wallace. And Roll Wallace maybe, but like they love guys like that, just giving him some cheap 2-year
Spags
deal.
was loving on him a lot yesterday.
Honestly,
he really likes him.
He plays every single year, Drew. He finds his way onto a football field in important snaps, covering important people sometimes.
Yeah, Spags had high praise.
For whatever reason it is, man, that's just a guy that he likes. Of those guys, I hope it's not Jalen Moore. I hope that Khalil Benson is more than worthy of the job by the time, or maybe wins it at some point or whatever. It's like, or they feel good about his development as a backup player during the time to do it. I think the most interesting two are Felix Anudike-Uzomah and Shamari Connor. Because Shamari Connor and
But those are not big, those are small deals too, though, Cody. I mean, we're talking tiny deals for both of them.
I know, but like I just didn't know who's coming. Like, because I don't want it to be Rashee Rice.
Well, here's the thing. There's a difference of wanting to have like so yeah. For the Chiefs' long-term success, I would rather them not get a deal done with Jalen Moore because that means probably they feel good about Benson. I'm just saying it doesn't get like there's a scenario where Jalen Moore is not that good this year. Benson, we don't know enough about, and the Chiefs still feel they have to use a first-round pick next year on a tackle, and I will freak out.
Not even kidding. Who? Dane Brugler. He already put out his mock for next year or whatever because he's a lunatic.
Offensive lineman.
It includes right tackle, some kid from Iowa.
Yeah, so I don't want that scenario presenting itself.
Cody, this question feels like it's not about the money or the type of deal. It's just are they getting a deal? Like even if it's 2 for 12.
I mean, who do you want back, hypothetically? Who do you think is going to play well enough for this team to justify getting?
Because I was looking at this list and I'm like, man, in terms of just likely to get a new deal, the way that I kind of looked at it is not a long-term extension, but that's kind of the way that I'm looking at it, like 3 or 4 plus years. And I know we don't like it, but the name on this list is Rashee Rice, because if he has that good of a season, then out of all of the guys on this list, like Drew Tranquil, age, I don't know, linebackers are replaceable.
Agreed.
Shamari Connor, Spags does like him, where I think I would put him maybe higher on the list than I think he should be. But in terms of players that could have a massive season where they get a deal that is maybe a little bit below market value, I guess, but in terms of them getting close to that number, Rashee Rice is the name on this list. Unless Felix Anudike-Uzomah goes out and has 7 or 8 sacks, then maybe Felix gets a contract that's double digits per season sort of thing.
I think there's no more than 2 on this list that would ever be back.
Really? That's it?
Yeah. I think there's
knowing
no
they
more.
love players. I think Chris Roland Wallace could be back. I think FAU could be back. If he has a good year, I think he could be back.
Is FAU like, well, I mean, what is it though? Is it like a 1 for 6 or a 1 for 7?
2 for 12. Like
does
it's one
that
of those.
count? I guess it does count. But sure, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I think there's definitely a difference between some of them. Rashee Rice, I think he's going to have a great year. I would not extend Rashee Rice, but
any of us would.
The temptation, I acknowledge, if he goes out and has the year I think he's going to have, legitimately, I think 1,200 yards is in play. If he has that year, there will be Chiefs fans that will talk themselves into it, and I'm sure Brett Veach will talk himself into it as well. I wouldn't do it, but absolutely he would be a candidate on this list. You're right about CRW and what Spags has said. I just think corners, they got a deep room. They can always draft another one candidate. Like I don't, it's one of those
just
like
drafted another one.
Who knows, right? I mean, I guess he could come back on a 1-year deal. Shamari Connor, I think for a guy that played 98% of the defensive snaps, we know they consider him an important piece of their defense. Drew Tranquill, I'm with you. I do feel like this is probably his last year in Kansas City. Even if he has a nice year, it's just the nature of the business. And
you got to find someone younger and different.
Yeah, and look, I like Drew Tranquill quite a bit. I think he's been really, really effective for them. Last year was a tough year. We know he loves the area and everything and living in Kansas City. But yeah, there's out of that list, just because of age, he and probably I would say Felix are the two most likely. Like I would put the lowest percentage of being.
I do
back.
really like this conversation from the standpoint of it's guys that we just wouldn't like. You think they're replaceable, but at the same time, Spags
Spags thinks they're less replaceable than us. That's how I felt like when they gave Nick Bolton the deal.
Yeah, Spags really likes Shamari Connor. He really likes Chris Roland Wallace. Where if he's still there, do they run it back? Maybe it's obviously for one of those smaller deals, but do they sacrifice what would be a 3rd or 4th round selection on a corner for depth or a 5th round pick to keep Chris Roland Wallace instead, because he is what the Chiefs like, that reliability that's been in the system and all those other things. Because without question, the players on this list, the best player in terms of talent is Rashee Rice, hands down, easily, not even close.
Yep. Yes, but he's also the biggest liability.
Correct, which is what makes it really interesting. Yeah,
it's so weird because from a team perspective, I'm not rooting against Rashee Rice having 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. But I will feel very uncomfortable, the position that will put Kansas City in if he does it. Yep. If he goes out there and he has 10 touchdowns and 1,300 yards, I'm going to be like, oh, damn it. They're going to pay him. I will be convinced they're going to pay him. And I'll be like, oh, God, can he stay out of trouble? Look, even like the comments, and I think they were a little out of context, but if you listen to Eric Bieniemy yesterday, Eric Bieniemy in his comments yesterday was like, he's hard-headed. He thinks he's doing a lot of things right. I have to stay on top of him a lot, right? Like, he's openly admitted that he's still kind of a pain in the ass young player who thinks they got it all figured out, which is not an uncommon wide receiver trait.
That's good for Rashee Rice, though. The fact that EB's back to get that out of him, whatever that is, or that feeling, is, I think, only good for Rashee Rice.
EB even said, like, he meant that in a positive way.
Yeah.
He didn't actually mean it as a shot. We've had the Rashee Rice conversation so many times over the last year or so, and even
if
he
has a big year, we'll have it a bunch more.
Yeah, no, and I recognize that, and we will. And I'm just saying, once again, like it's been on the record for a while. There
is no number.
There is no number for me, and you can say, "Oh, no, come on." No, I'm 100% serious about this. I think he's going to have a great year, but in February, the Chiefs can go to the Super Bowl, and Rashee Rice can have 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns. And I'm telling you, I'm not the GM, so who cares? But I would not give him a 3-year contract extension or a 4-year contract extension or anything like that. I think at that point, tons of fans would suddenly just have like the Men in Black, thing that wipes your memory and completely ignore everything else that's happened. I will not, but I'm not the GM, and I'm like you, where I think Brett Veach would convince himself that they can handle it.
If I were the Chiefs, there would be a number for me.
It's like weird. I don't want there to be a number of yards and touchdowns he gets.
There's a number on the contract and the guaranteed money.
Correct.
I don't trust the guy. Plain and simple. I think he's a hell of a football player. And for the 2026, I hope he has a great year. Truly do.
Well, yeah,
I hope he has a great year. And I think for his sake, if he does, he's going to earn money from somebody moving forward. I'm just saying the Chiefs don't have to be the team that hands him the check.
You wouldn't pay him 3 for 70.
Nope. Unless somehow you tell me like really specific language that they get him to agree to, where hey, you get a damn speeding ticket and we can cut you for $0. I mean, it would have to be something absurd like that.
I mean, it would have to be like something his agent wouldn't even be like, hey, you definitely shouldn't sign that.
But I would take, if you said over under 1,000 yards for Rashee Rice, I would take over that this year. I think he's going over.
Like I say, there's no number.
If he gets 1,208 touchdowns,
if it's under $25 million a year, I'll do it.
3 for 60, I think they would do it.
Yeah, now some people are just being unrealistic. This is not how the NFL works. Someone says you're an idiot if you wouldn't extend him for 3 years at league minimum. He's getting more than league minimum. What are we talking about?
Look, I even think
let's be league minimum. Come on, guys. Rashee Rice, there's no world where he's signing a 3-year extension for $700,000 a year. What are we talking about?
I think bare minimum. If he finished the season with what we said, 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns, somebody will pay him 3 for 90, maybe more. Because here's just so you know, here's the wide receivers.
Yeah.
There are like 15 wide receivers making over $30 million. The kind of guys who make $25 million a year either got paid $1 million years ago or are like lower tier.
Devontae Smith, Jamison Williams.
They got paid a long time ago.
Yeah, he's going
those
to,
guys.
if
Jacoby Myers makes $20 million a year.
If he has over 1,000 yards, yeah, he's going to be in for a huge payday. And again, you want the Chiefs to have that money tied up in that player.
Alec Pierce is making $28.5 million a year.
Someone says, you said no money, don't say what you don't mean. I think you guys can ask Cody and Drew, and I've been very clear for months on this. There is no money amount, no dollar amount. And yes, throwing out unrealistic scenarios, you texting in and saying, you wouldn't sign Rashee Rice for $700,000 a year. I also live in reality. That contract never on earth will exist for Rashee Rice.
If he does what you said, yes.
So stop. I mean, Drew, he can have 500 yards. He's getting more than $700,000 a year.
I agree.
So when I say there is no dollar amount, I assume we were living in like the world of reality, as in we know what we're talking about in the NFL, not playing some video game. You're not able to sign a receiver for $700,000 a year that has even 500 yards
I'm not
after
kidding.
a season. What are we talking
He
about?
could get hurt
Cody,
after one snap, get 0 receiving yards, and he'd get more than that.
Cody, you wouldn't do the 28.5 that Pierce got?
No. To me, that's where the risk is not worth it. One, I didn't think Pierce should have gotten that, so let's just start there.
Yeah.
And I understand that the numbers go up and everything changes, but I wouldn't have paid Pierce that. So that's also part of it, admittedly. But that Drew, he's got to be giving me below market rate, is the truth. If I'm taking the chance on you, you're coming back here, you think in 3 years you can get a massive, massive deal by just staying out of trouble, and doing the kind of things you need to do to actually do this right, well, then I'll pay you in 3 years. But if you're going to do that, you got to give me below market rate. You want market rate? Go play for the Jets. You want $30 million a year? That's fine.
Yeah, somebody will pay him. Somebody will.
Go play for some team who doesn't matter. Because I think the highest bidder typically in free agency is a team that's real on the fringe or bad, and they're trying to.
I think
fix
also
their problem in one thing.
This conversation, right? Like this conversation also will change. I think even for Chiefs fans, even those that are texting and wanting to sign him. In February, in this hypothetical, does this mean Cyrus Allen had a nice year too? Does it mean that Xavier Worthy took a leap?
Yeah.
That's also a huge part of this for a lot of fans. If I give you the scenario where Rashee Rice has 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns, but also Xavier Worthy takes a leap and he's an 850-yard guy, and Cyrus Allen has 550, but we feel pretty good about him, and then you still want to pay Rice? I would be pretty shocked if you would then also still want to pay Rice.
The only reason, though, to do that, though, and I think we talked about it a little bit, I think last week it was, that if Cyrus works out, if you look at collectively what the wide receiver room could be, if Xavier gets that, if they would have a top 5 wide receiver room in the league, period. And you're going to walk away. I think they'd be almost, I'm not going to say they'd be more inclined not to pay him, but I think they'd be just as inclined if Cyrus Allen didn't work out or wasn't that great this year. Where I think if you know that if you paid Rashee, and if he, obviously the big caveat is he was healthy and he didn't get in trouble, you would have a top 5 wide receiver room for Patrick Mahomes, which is what everybody's kind of been asking for over the last couple of years. I think it will be just as hard for them to not pay him.
Yeah, the tricky part and why, one way or the other, they're going to have to do something after this season anyway, because Rice is not under contract after this year. Tyquan Thornton is, Cyrus Allen is, and that's it. I mean, that's essentially, right? I mean, that's it. Jalen Royals, if we want to get specific. Like, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, but again, it's like if Cyrus Allen has it, then it's a no-brainer. If Cyrus Allen has 200 yards and Xavier Worthy has 600 and Rashee Rice has 13, the Chiefs are going to feel like they have to pay Rice. Like, I can see a way in which organizationally they get trapped the way you and I have talked about quarterbacks for franchise, where they're like, well, what else are we going to do? Is there some other wide receiver available at 1,300 yards that we're not talking about?
The class is so good, though, where maybe you talk yourself into it, but the problem is, if Rashee Rice plays well and they make it to the Super Bowl, let's say, they're picking 31 or 32, you're missing out on most of the good ones anyways.
I think they would have to trade for a receiver or spend big money in free agency. And right now, the free agent wide receiver class looks like crap for 2027, depending on how the season goes. Things change. But right now, it doesn't look like it's going to be a great one. A lot of the guys that could be available, like Pickens, is not going to walk. They're going to the Cowboys will probably, if they don't sign him themselves, would probably tag and trade. People brought up, like, what could the Chiefs tag and trade Rice at that point? It depends on the year he had. It gets a little dicey. What are you going to get back for him? No, a team would know they have to pay him top
How
dollar.
much would the tag be?
What was it this year, I guess, is the question.
Wasn't it like 30 something? Was it 30? Did it get to 30 this year?
2020.
Because I'm just wondering.
28 or 26.
27.2.
So, which is above your $25 million a year anyways, Cody. Like,
Yeah, because that's what
we'll
more than the top 10
for your
make.
number. Yeah.
So we'll see how it plays. I mean, this will be a conversation that will come up later in the year again. I know it will, because hopefully Rashee Rice is having a nice season for the Chiefs. If he doesn't, then nobody's going to want him back anyway. So,
meanwhile, the Chiefs actually